This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from Spark of the Everflame, Book 1 of the Kindred's Curse series, with mentions of Throne of Glass. For full list, please see show notes. There's also discussion surrounding sexual assault.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Spark of the Everflame, Book 1 in the Kindred's Curse Saga by Penn Cole.
And we came into this because I was struggling. I was like, what fantasy book do you want to explore? I don't know what's on our radar. Laura had already read this and she suggested, per usual, this is why, y'all, just follow Laura. We are guided through her and can do no wrong because this is so good. It was so good. Already want to go into the second series. And I was like, wait, let's maybe rework our calendar even. How did this get on your radar? Were you exploring it? How did you come to this suggestion? Why you suggested it to me? But how did this come across your foray into reading?
Excellent question. Boring answer. It was recommended to me by Audible. Hey.
Really? Oh, they were on you. They clocked you.
They really just clocked the shit out of me because if you have been listening for at least a little bit, because it was a pretty recent episode, I shared that my audiobook, my Audible library has been completely wiped by Amazon, which is deeply upsetting. And I'm in the process of rebuilding it. And I did hit that great sale. Don't worry about it. I'm rebuilding slowly. So as I am rebuilding, I'm buying in big spurts, but a lot of books at a time. So my recommendations go through massive upheaval every time I make these big purchases. So recently I had a couple credits. This is so honest. I had a couple credits and I was scrolling through and I saw this book and I had seen the cover in a couple bookstores and, just around, I've seen the cover and I was like, okay. And I was aware that the latest book in the series had come out recently because the cover's kind of the same. And then, I was aware of the cover. So that's about as far as it went because I just have not really built up the book talk portion of my life because it's going away. It's, when is this episode airing? It's gone. So it's just it's one of those things where it's just it's futile. So I it's I don't want to put my time and my effort into rebuilding that part of it because it's just going to go somewhere else. So I was in limbo there. So my recommendations have been kind of willy-nilly and all over the place. So I stumbled upon this book, which is not out of the ordinary. It's fucking popular as shit. So I'm just a girl and I read this very popular thing that people really like. And I decided, cause here's the other thing. One of our, favorite listeners was in my DMs and, asked me flat out asked me if I like this series. And this was a couple of days ago. And at the time I was listener, I'm going to eat a little bit of crow here. I can't put down that third book, man. I can't do it. I am like deep in it now. I'm like with it. There's like some things obviously, but like I'm deep in the third book. So much so that I do feel, listeners, Jessica Marie, ill prepared because I stayed in book 3 today instead of like really kind of immersing myself back in book 1. But let me tell you, being in book 3 and coming back to book 1, you're like, oh, well, damn. Okay, you want to talk about the pattern? Okay, well, damn.
Well, it's so funny because as I was reading this today, and I only got one full listen through, I'm not even going to count I reread the prologue in chapter 1, which I knew was going to happen because when I had started reading, I had told you I was finding myself getting deep into the notes at the beginning of the book, and I was like, this is all going to be important, and I had to forcefully stop myself because I was like, I know it's going to be important. I don't even know why. Let me just vibe it out. And of course, it made sense. But as I was reading and finishing the book today before we started recording, I was upset. I was upset at myself because I didn't have a chance to reread it. And I was so jealous of you that you've already gotten to read this more than once because it's so good. Which it really kind of just, well, and we're going to get into it, but it changed our whole calendar of how we're reading books for the podcast because we're like, we want to read it more. We want to talk about it more. And like Laura said, she can't even put book 3 down. And I'm like, I'm not even there yet.
Well, Jess, since you are so excited, please tell me who is in this book.
Okay, so I think we'll revisit. So we'll have some key characters. Our FMC is Diem. We love her. She, is different than everybody, but she's a healer. She's a healer. We have Prince Luther, who is a prince of the descendants. That's cool. Yeah, we could say he's the descendant because he's like, you're like me. And she's like, fuck you. But he has a sister, Lily, who has a crush on Diem's brother, Teller. He is very smart. He is immortal. And then we have other side characters. We have Henry, who is a childhood crush of Diem. We have Diem's father who raised her. She also has a biological father. She has a biological mother who's currently not in the picture. It's kind of been, I don't want to say kidnapped. We don't know what's going on with her at this point in book 1. And I think those are some of the key characters. We have Mora, who's another healer who works with her mother. But I think the key overarching thing that we have, it's very much mortals versus descendants, and descendants are these gods who oversee various realms and where we are.
It's very difficult for me. I'm in book 3. Yes, everything you say.
You're like poker face. I feel like you should start.
It's so hard. It's so hard. Okay. Just so more from my point of view, so I can clarify in my head. So there is a fantasy like world here, obviously, and the descended and the mortals are like different, but like the descended came from mortals. They're just like hoity-toity about it, and it's one of those things. Okay, there is something to be said for fantasy series because there are 3 books in this series so far. And this book, Jessica, Marie, and I both listened to it through audio, is a very nice, like, tame length. Just so you know, these books jump up. It's like the third one's 34 hours at speed. Like, these jump up, and we are like deep in a fantasy world. So it was, again, very helpful to me to come back to this prologue, Jess, and this chapter 1 where everything is like really laid out for us about like who is what and where, and like, how things got to be where they are, because it is a lot to keep straight And your first read through, as you said, because you want to get like really stuck in these details, but you need to go, right? You need to like read through.
You don't even know what's going on to get wrapped up into the details. Yeah,
exactly. That being said, does this follow the pattern?
It absolutely follows the pattern. Both the prologue. Well, the prologue is kind of like the stories of yore, but at the same time. And so is chapter 1 of how do we get to present day. It's the prologue and chapter 1 are kind of like flashbacks of, where we get to later in the series, and sets everything up, knowing who the people are, who the mysterious person is, the interactions with Diem's mother, and her history of how she got to where she is as a mortal, and how she's not like other girls, even from appearance-wise, because mortals are known to have brown eyes, descendants have like bluish, grayish eyes. And she went her whole life up until puberty with brown eyes. And all of a sudden her eyes change. And this is just prologue in chapter 1. So it's really not giving anything away. And everybody's like, ooh, what are you? Who are you? And she's like, I don't know what to tell y'all. This happened you've known me my whole life. This is, something must have happened when I got sick. But there are little things at bay. Like her father who raised her is not her biological father, but we don't know a lot about, I'm looking down at Laura because I don't want her eyes to give it away if we are in the series. Okay.
Yeah. In book three, we still don't know who her biological father is. I ain't giving away shit because I don't know.
Well, we should know this because Laura took all my crazy theories from my first read of Throne of Glass, and she's like, okay.
Interesting.
Like a fucking champ. I'm telling you, if she played poker, she would have ruined it for she would have won the World Poker League. So Laura's really good at that. And this is why we read with her. It's wonderful. So really, we don't know who she is, but the immediate family knows that she's, her father isn't her biological father. Her brother knows this. For what we know, as we start this book, there are no secrets, because that could be a pretty deep family secret, and they trust each other, especially when her mom has bounced before the second chapter has even started. So they kind of are like, all we have are each other. And so that's all they know. But as all things with family, things start to unravel. And, I love, before we even really get into it, I love Diem and Teller, who's her brother, their sibling relationship. I think it's so special.
It is really special. And it's sweet, but it's also respectful and understanding, and you want the best for it. It's great. It's so great. It's so great. It's so great. Okay. I want to mention that the prologue seems to be applicable for the entire series as an overarching kind of prologue. That is just what I'm gathering from being in book 3. Okay. I would like to build the world.
I was going to say interesting because does this follow the pattern? And I know it does for book 1, but do you feel like that it still follows the pattern? Or does each book have its... Actually, I don't want to know.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build this world a little bit. Okay. So Diem's a healer. As Jess said, she lives in Mortal City, and Mortal City is where all of the mortals live, and essentially it's like a slum out in the forest. And the Descended live in Lumnos City, their own city, separate from them. And they have their own kind of life there. The palace is there. Okay. So the world itself is what?
Amarian.
Amarian. Sorry, that was a N, not an H. Amarian is the world. And the world, there were 9 immortal siblings that came to the world, and they took refuge there after their world was destroyed. And they each fell in love with a mortal, and they abandoned their immortality and bound their lives to their mortal lovers with the forging spell. And then they made a pact, and the pact made the 9 lands, 1 for each sibling, and the land is infused with the magic of the patron sibling, and the offspring from the mortal lover and the immortal sibling, the kindred. Those children are called the descended, and they were meant to rule the world after the kindred died because they bound their lives to their mortal lovers. And they were left to rule in peace, but they don't live in peace. Of course not. They live together in like separate conditions, and essentially the descended are the masters and lords of the mortals. Right? Is that about right?
Yeah, and then to add on to that because of what happened there of the gods leaving for their mortal lovers, there's now like a rule, I use in air quotes, place that descendants can't be, and they say like an interracial marriage relationship.
It's a progeny law.
Yeah, it's a progeny law that they cannot be in a relationship or have children with mortals.
Mm-hmm. Because it will dilute the magic, and the magic is contained within the descended, and they have 20 families. It's this whole thing. Okay. So that pact that was made, way in the past with all these ancient people, was on Forging Day. So now Forging Day is the holiday, and that's where our story starts. Kind of in the past, Jess, as you said, with Diem. And Diem she's a healer. She's with Moira. She's trying to make her way home. She's got shit to do, right? She's accosted by 3 men. She fights her way out because Andre Bellator is her dad, and he is a big deal, retired in the army. And this is where Diem overhears her mother talking with a descended. I like the description: black hair, scarred, a little bit older with blue-gray eyes. Immediately, yes.
Immediately, yes. But I love that there's also Diem's inner monologue where she's like, but the descendants, they don't really age. They could be like 34. They could be like 534. So I was like, I loved that the author added that. Like, it just felt like it felt natural, but it also felt like the little nod to the fans that love fantasy. And we're like, usually I don't like age gap, but the age gap is totally acceptable here too.
It's like, So as Diem is trying to eavesdrop on her mom and this handsome stranger, because mom has secrets, right? Mom's very secretive. This old lady comes and knows all of these details about Diem's life. And Diem is like, yo, what? Huh? And I love that. Because that's the right reaction.
That is the right reaction. But I also like how this lady, I don't want to say clocks her, but
read her to filth.
Yeah, she does. And she even said, she's like, it's a matter of, she's like, you have to watch your back, but 2, you don't even know how to react well to this. And she doesn't. Diem's like, I got myself made because I can't even come up with a good lie on the spot. And if you've been following the podcast for a while, Laura and I are always saying lie better. So
lie better, ACOFAEPodcast. And she can't lie at all. And this old lady is like, yo, stop taking that flame route. What? Your eyes are a gift from your real father. Huh? He knows about you. He's alive. He shouldn't be, but he's a survivor like you. Okay. The kindred are done waiting. What the fuck? And she says all of that stuff to Diem, and Diem kind of loses track of her mom, and she's like, oh my God, what is happening? That's wild shit. And
loses track of her forever.
Yeah, well, yeah, forever, for absolute ever. And we should mention that this old lady puts Diem under like mind control magic here and like locks her in her body. And she's like, you'll remember this the next time we meet. Stop running and hiding. And she does call out like a goddamn prophecy. And I wrote it down. It took me several tries. Forgotten blood on the Heartstone falls, then shall the chains be broken. Life for life, old debt requires, for eternal be its yoke. All right. Goddamn prophecies.
That's not going to mean anything.
No, of course not. No, it can't possibly mean anything. It totally does.
Every time that there was a spell that was in English, I would have to force myself to just keep going. If I do the reread now, like I could go back later. It was so, but I just keep thinking about like, if this is how I felt in book 1, where I'm like, no, just keep going or I'm going to get lost in the wrong things, which are the right things if you do the reread. But when you got to vibe with it, you got to go through that, like, this is just book 1 and you're having the time of your life over there in book 3.
Yeah, for sure. Just as you said, Mom does not come home. And then we have a time jump 6 months later. That's wild shit. 6 months later, she's still not there. Daddy's mad. Diem, you are not taking your powder. We have a voice that says, fight.
I love it.
That's something we love. Fight. We love it when, you just fight. And then we have Teller and Diem, Jess, as you said. Teller has a crush on Lily. Lily being the princess. The
fucking princess. And I love... I mean, again, we'll get to it at the end of the book, but like the dad, who's also he's retired, but he was the commander of the military. So he knew his political shit too. So the fact that at the end of the book, he's like, Lily is Lillian. Like he didn't put the two together of who his son is referring to when he's at their school. I think it's just like a dad thing. It's like, your dad you could have the same friends over for years. Who's coming over? Dad, Jessica's going to come down and visit me. Who? You know how many times I've met your dad?
Who? They just don't. And it's too funny because yes, Teller goes to the descended school because their mother cut a deal so that she will be the palace healer for all of the descended. And in return, Teller goes to their school. And because the king is dying and his magic is failing and like, human methods, mortal methods are like the only ways to really like soothe him during his like transition into like death. And then we meet this person, this man, Henry.
Henry. It's the first love interest.
Yes.
It's the childhood love interest.
Yes.
Also the love interest that punches holes in walls.
Yes.
So, and that's part of the fantasy pattern. First love interest. I get it. I really wanted to root for him to a certain point. Like, I knew they weren't going to be together. It's book 1, but I was really hopeful that it was going to be like this amicable thing of who we fell in love with as kids and growing up. That's not who we are now. And it was getting to that point because there's a line in that with Diem. She's like, ooh, big ick. Big fucking ick. What the second he's like, you're so good at being a mom. She's like, oh, bitch doesn't know me. And she says, she's like, it's such a like being a mom and being a wife is so sacred. That's just not for me right now. And you can but then when he starts getting physically aggressive, that's when I was like, nope, this is never going to be amicable. And I picked up on that, but I was so hopeful. I was so hopeful for him early on.
Because he seems like a nice guy, right?
Yeah.
Like he's cute. Like he's childhood friends.
There's a respect there because, you know, even after the first time they like hooked up and admitted their feelings for each other, she lost her mom, and he's like, grief, man. Like, I will be there however you need me to be there for you. You know, like, you wanted to root for them, but knew that they weren't going to be endgame.
Yeah, for sure. But we still have to get through their relationship. And that relationship is his dad is the palace courier. So he does lots of like mail delivery outside of the like realms and borders and stuff. And he says, you know, I've got to go to the next realm over. Why don't you come with me? And she's like, yeah, I can ask, right? I can ask. And I should mention that Diem is 20. You know, we're adults here. She's at the healer center, and we kind of get like her background, why she's like getting ready for morning work through her like internal dialogue. We learn that her mother kept her completely separate from the descended. She's never been allowed near them, allowed to treat them, even though like her mother obviously was the palace healer, but Diem didn't know that. That's the thing.
Well, and her mom also hid all of her notes surrounding healer work. Because, you know, I feel like when, you know, in a way like nepotism, she's like, oh, I have access to these things. But her mom would hide things away from her. So she also kind of would be frustrated at her mom in certain situations throughout the book. She's like, damn it. Like, I feel like I'm missing a resource because you chose not to share that with me. And that would be really crucial right now.
For sure, because a descended kid bursts into the center and asks for Diem's mom. She's like, is she here? Is she here? And she's not, obviously. And Diem's like, what's wrong? A roof has collapsed. There's children in danger. Say less. Let's go. But before this, though, I need to point it out because I'm going to point it out later. Moira very lovingly gives Diem the contraceptive tonic and says, make sure he drinks this.
Make sure he drinks this. That's right. That he better drink. You know, that is like our shit. Yes. Who drinks this? This book is so good. I love it. We love the contraceptive tonic that he has to take here.
That he has to take. Gang,
I
gang.
feel like it's been so long. I'm sorry. This book got me so excited about fantasy and like in a really great way in a long time. When was the last time? It's been a minute.
It's been a hot minute. So make sure he takes it. Only the gods could keep the two of you from falling in love. That one. But we have our descended coming in, and let's go. We got to get to the palace. We go through the shortcut. Diem goes to Lily. Oh my God, Lily. Diem feels like power in the room. Do you feel that? Oh my God, you're Teller's sister. Oh my God. But
Luther, more importantly, who's with her with all the power is Prince Luther, who is the guy from the prologue with the gorgeous eyes. And she's like, well, fuck. And it distracts her so much that she doesn't realize that Lily is bleeding out. She's hurt so badly. But before that, Diem sets the bone in Lily's arm, and she should not have been able to do that because descended bones are super strong and only other very strong descended can set them. But Diem did it. No problem. That won't be important. That's not important. We are in chapter 5, and as you know, the pattern is complete by chapter 5. It's all here. Every single thing that you could possibly think of is here, because we have Lily is bleeding out, and Diem's like, no, heal, bah, and there's a big like surge of power, and miraculously there's no wound. Everything is fine. It's fine. And that wasn't her. She hasn't been taking her Everflame powder, but there's no way that can be her. That was the descendant power, and that's part of the magic of descendant healing. And everybody's looking at her like, ma'am, no.
Be so fucking for real right now.
Yeah.
Be so fucking for real right now. But she's in denial. This is called denial with a capital D, and that's fine. We all have our shit to work through. It is book one. Book one is for working through the shit. Okay. So Lily's bleeding out. We have healed her. Everything is fine. And Prince Luther is like, hey, what's up?
How'd you do that? How do you have your eyes? Because they're not brown.
Yeah.
You aren't mortal. And she's like, I am. And he goes, oh, okay.
Okay. And water is wet.
So.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you're as mortal as I am. Okay.
Yeah, sure. It's like, sure. So then, he later goes by the healer center in Mortal City, and Moira's like, Prince Luther came to visit you. Ooh. And Diem's like, fuck that guy. And Moira's like, what?
Yes. And of course, like, she's the only person who's ever, like, dished it back to him. But then she finds out more that he wasn't just by the healer center. She's like, oh, he wanted to come by and say thank you because you helped heal his sister. And she's like, what else? That's not why he came by. And then you find out that he's kind of like poking around and trying to ask more questions about her and about her lineage. And she's like, see, there was an ulterior motive that has nothing to do with thanking me about his sister. Did you tell him anything? You are also the only other person who knows. It's like the two family members, which is her dad and her brother, and then Maura and Henry.
Yep. That's it. All right, let me build the world for you a little bit more. Our realms. We've got our realms. Okay, full disclosure. I wrote these down very quickly, and I wrote them down phonetically. And so let's see. Miras, land of sea, and something else. There's always two. I got most of it, right? Fortis, that's like valor in the army. That's the south. Her dad is from there. Faunus is animals. Arborus is plants. Montius is stone and ice. Sotos is thought and spark. Igneous is sand and flame. And Umbras is secret and spies. Those are all of the different realms in the land.
I'm looking at the map as you're talking.
Yeah. I've built the world for you a little bit more. Okay. Mentioning that the bargain that Diem's mom struck with the palace is for life. Just saying. Okay, we're on our trip with Henry. And Henry hates the Kindred. He hates the Kindred, like, a little bit too much to be, like, cool, like, a cool person about it. Like,
you're like, that's a lot of hate for a group of people.
Yeah, sir. It's just like, okay. And like we learn that like his mom died of a very preventable disease, but the king wouldn't give special dispensation for his father to go get a special plant. It was like this whole fucking thing. And
insurance, man, happens in fantasy too.
Healthcare. And then Henry like internalized that, and he hates all of the Kindred. Okay, right? All of it. Here's what I hate, Henry. I hate that you looked at Diem as you were about to get down and said, Diem, do we really need the contraceptive tonic?
Oh! Ooh, that was loud. I was so sorry, Editor Sam. That fucked me. I was like, you should have seen me. I was getting ready for brunch, and I was like, what? And she looked at him. She packed her shit up real quick.
Yeah,
and he's like, okay.
My note says gross red flag.
Right?
Ooh, uncool, sir.
He was not trying to be like, oh, let's play into my like breeding kink. He was straight up like, oh, would it be so bad if I knocked you up? Would I tie you down? No.
He's like, would it be so bad if we just let the gods, like, you know... foul man.
Ew, she was like, bye. Deuces, actually.
Yeah, she was like, ick. Yeah. Ew. Okay. All right. He does take it okay. Reluctantly, but he does. He takes all of it in front of her so that she sees it. Like, there is no funny business about any of that. Like, it's all very upfront. Let's be very fair to Henry in that. Okay. But like a man, he falls asleep afterwards. And
he's changed the day after. She's like reeling with all of these other thoughts. And he's like, has a pep in his step because he got laid. She's like, he's not even bothered. All his worries are just away.
Yeah. Meanwhile, though, but before his head was in the gutter, Diem wakes up and she's like burning from a dream, right? She's had a dream. There's a man in the dreams. Like, who do you choose? This man in the dreams. But Diem wakes up and she like starts running. She's like in the woods. She's hot. She wants to be away. She gets to a tree. Everything's fine. There's a fucking wolf. A wolf shows up, a fucking wolf. And Diem is like, well, shit. Here we go. And the voice is saying fight. And then, it's this moment of panic and this light, she hears the word destroy. This light comes out of her and the wolf just explodes and pops and disintegrates. Just burns up.
I'm just imagining, because there's a part where she says like she's covering her throat, which is obviously like, if you've watched Animal Planet or National Geographic, there's like your carotid is in your throat. So she's like, I'm imagining, but then the light came from her hand. So at first I think she was doing this, and then it was like like still covering it. And then that's when it was whoosh. And then she was like, I need then she runs back to camp, says, I need my Everflame powder. I'm having crazy dreams again. And Henry's like, no, you're not. You don't need your Everflame powder. I thought you weren't taking that anymore. And she's like, she said the dream. And he's like, oh, that was real life. That actually happened. The growl woke me up. So it must have just like ran off.
And the crazy part is Diem's like, I mean, sure, I guess.
I think she just wants to believe it so bad that it's, again, denial with capital D, like you said.
Capital D. Capital D. What isn't denial is Henry has an Everflame tattoo, which is illegal. That's illegal shit, and you can get killed for that because it is the old gods, and the Kindred are like the gods that everybody's supposed to like worship. And he's like, and she's like, what is that tattoo for? He's like, to honor the gods. And she's like, yeah, you've been like saying that a lot, my guy. What the hell? But okay.
She's, it's that friend that you just keep trying to give the benefit of the doubt.
You're like,
because that's what she's doing. If you say so, until they go to the bar and everybody has it exposed when it's not supposed to be exposed. And she's like, you, me, we're talking right now.
Before that, she gets kicked out of the like medical supply store with her like longtime mom's friend because she starts asking about the powder, and the lady's like, how the fuck do you know about that? Only the king can open that. How'd you get it? How have you ever had it?
9 levels of approval.
Yeah, every like what the absolute hell? And Diem's trying to like learn more about her like mom and what happened. And this lady's like, you better just like stay in your fucking place. And you know what? Actually, get out and don't come back. Don't come back. Also,
she's a terrible liar. Because she even said that. She's like, oh, I was looking for beetroot. And she's like, the fuck you weren't.
The fuck you were. You goddamn liar. Henry is also dropping all of this knowledge because as they're crossing the border into Fortos, Diem feels like this bout of intense pain that she has never felt before. And she feels it now. That's interesting. But then Henry starts talking about how like, yeah, well, it descended. They have like 2 different kinds of magic. Diem's like, no, actually, that's not common knowledge. I didn't know that. Maybe, but like, I didn't know that. Why didn't anybody tell me that? And then we meet Breck. Breck is the friend at the bar at the hotel that we're staying at, and Henry, not in bed. Here's my favorite thing, Jess. As you said, when she pulls him out of that meeting, he's like, I'm sorry, I'm not in bed. She goes, I'm not your mother. I don't care that you're not in bed.
Oh no, she's like, I'm not your wife. Yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, she goes, and he looks stunned. But
so
she's
good.
not.
No, yeah. She's like,
you're not even like exclusive. You're not even dating and you're stunned. She's like, I don't give a fuck that you're not in bed. Why did you lie to me? Tell me the truth now. What is your flame? Because everybody else had them in the bar, and then they hit it real quick when I walked in, and he goes, this is the group that we're in, but, and I know Laura, but we're going to get into details, but I like where she goes, oh, you're really careful about who you show it to. Like, you were careful around me. You had no idea I was even there. So how many other people have you been exposed to? Oh, I just thought about that out loud. More people might know. Interesting. Well, yeah, we do know. Because Luther says it too. He's like, they're dumb. You think I don't know what's happening?
Here's the thing. Here's my second red flag about Henry. During this fight that they're having, he goes, well, you haven't exactly been stable.
Well, you have your secrets.
You'd be dead.
You were, but see, he tries to act like, I'm so glad we're talking this out because because obviously she had this dream that wasn't a dream. She's piecing together real things that are happening with her denial with a capital D. And she's losing her train of thought with certain things, or not necessarily her train of thought. She's not present with other conversations. And he tries to call her out on it. Like, oh, you've been distant. You're not telling me what you're thinking about. Okay. Yes. But you're also acting like you started not telling her about this until just recently. No, you haven't told her about this at all. And this has been going on a lot longer than the 3 days window that we're in right now.
Oh, absolutely. Because he confesses about how he saw a descendant kill a boy, like on this big horse or whatever, and he stalked the killer and he was going to kill the killer, blah, blah, blah. But then he was recruited, right? He was recruited into this organization, and Diem, you could help. You could help. You're going to work at the palace. You could help us. And, Teller could help us too. And she goes, leave Teller the fuck out of this. Whatever this is, fuck you. And no, Teller's not doing it. Teller's not doing it. But here, this is interesting because we do watch Diem get radicalized for a little bit and then her guilt over it. Okay. Because Diem's going to take over the palace, healing situation that her mom did. She's going to take it over from Moira. So that's fun. I guess that's fun because it gets her into the palace. It really moves the story along, and it gives us these little details like Heartstone can kill a descendant. Okay, that won't be important later. What about a Gryvern? Let's meet our Gryvern. That's very fun. Diem has a moment with our Gryvern, and they understand each other. That won't be important. No, not at all. That's not indicating of anything. Diem does assault the fuck out of a guard here. That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And Luther has to intervene. We like that too. Luther,
again, book one, it has been a long while since I fucked with a fantasy book boyfriend. You could have, obviously love interests in romance books, but you're not going to fuck with all of them. You're just like, okay, that's cute for them. We like him. I'm sure he's going to fuck it up somehow in book 2 somewhere. But you know what? He's going to, I'm putting a lot of trust into Luther right now.
It's good. It's good. It's fun. I like all of their interactions. She's healing a child. Here's the thing. Diem is not taking her powder. So she says the powder, when she took it every day, it would dim her.
It was it suppressed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she never heard the fight before. She was taking it regularly.
She was foggy too. And kind of slow.
But I also think this goes to, and again, we'll learn more. I'll learn more. You have already learned it. But we, as the listener, this is your first book joining us. We'll probably learn more about so much has been hidden from her. She has been in a bubble, and she was taught this is going to be this thing. You're going to take it and it's going to be fine. And you're supposed to be taking it because her dad even catches her. He says, when was the last time you took it? And she's like, oh, I don't know. He goes, I do. 10 days, because that's how long I was gone for. And you had it on, where I was.
Yep. And because she's not taking it, because she's restless, this moment happens where she's restless at home and they say, you never cared about any of this before. You never cared about the injustice before. And she's like, yes, I did. I did care. I just didn't and she can't, like, she's like, but I just didn't, because it was like suppressed, Jess, as you said, because that's the perfect word. And then Diem gets radicalized. She goes on call at the whorehouse and she deals with everything at the whorehouse. She comes out of the whorehouse and she sees a descendant killing a child and a mother. And she tries to intervene with the child. She's like talking, there's all this like magic, everything that's happening. Everything's very big and scary. And the child still dies. And this is where Diem is like, I did everything that I could. This child still dies. I have to do more. This injustice can't stand. Like, I'm done. I'm gonna join up, right? Like, this is
Guardians.
I'm gonna join the Guardians. So she goes to Henry and she joins the Guardians. And the Guardians treat her like ass. And they give her really kind of crazy assignments, even though she fucking, like,
men can't do it. Let's not forget. They gave her tasks and assignments to test her trustworthiness and capability, and loyalty. They gave her these things, otherwise she wouldn't be able to join. With the knowledge that no man has ever completed this. They knew this. She successfully completed some of the tasks. She doesn't think she's successful based on how it was outlined. And I didn't read this, but when they were going through, there was another healer in that group and she's like, crap, that's my mentee. She's going to have this whole other perception of me now. She's also the only other one. And she was a woman. So they were both the women were given these tasks that Henry has said, no one has ever completed these. We just wanted to see if you'd be willing to try. And the two women are the only ones who have been able to complete the tasks. So once again, women running shit.
And what are the tasks? So Diem has to go spy on the weapon master to get info for the Guardians, right? And his daughter is sick. Well, that's convenient. That's suspicious. That's weird.
And she says that too. She's like, he's like, you don't think that wasn't time? Oh, but it's the gods. The gods were looking out on us. They really want us to go forth and complete our mission.
Yep. She does, though. She heals the daughter, which was just like some flowers that she had a reaction to that were given to her by a mortal. And she ends up in the office. She steals some maps. She steals some ledgers. She's smart. She copies them down on paper. Like she's a good spy. And she gets out of there. It's a little bit awkward, but she gets out of there and she goes to the meeting and she gives them over all of this stuff. And here's the thing. This is where Henry, like, I understand this, like, weird kind of like toxic pull to this person because Diem feels so validated right here because Henry looks at her with like pride and respect.
Yeah. She goes, I see. And he says, like, I'm so proud of you. But she's like internalizing this external validation. She's like, he's looking at me like he's never looked at me before. He's never looked at me like this in childhood. He's never looked at me like this when he's already said, I love you, I think, after all of this. Because she was just like in awe that he was adoring her in this way, that she had never felt this respect. And honestly, it's probably the first time that she had it as a woman in this arguably patriarchal society. And everybody always looked down at mortals and looked down at healers, and everybody has just kind of diminished her. And she tied her value to that.
Yes. So then when she's given the assignment of go spy on the palace, she's like, all right, bet. Watch me. All right. And then she does. She goes with Moira to go tend to the king. Our Gryvern is there. Hello, Gryvern. Luther greets us again, right? And she feels drawn to his magic. That's not important. Diem has the most brilliant plan of like, yo, I'm just going to like throw my bag in this room. And then I'll be like, oh, I lost it. And I'll go back and get it. I'll run. She's rolling ass.
And the problem is that whole scene, because because you could picture it. You're just like, you're so like,
what are you
that's
doing?
not suspicious at all. She's like, you don't need to give me an escort. I'm just going to run and be right back. She
fucking weirdo.
Skirted so fast.
It's insane, honestly.
And everybody's like, where do you go? No, I have a guard. And then you're like, you're not even acting chill or cool about any of this.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Because her mission is to like map, to check the boats. She's to check the boats and like search the boats in the secret canal. And that's her mission. And she's got a map with the door. She's got to like do all of this stuff, right? And the guards find her. She's doing all of this badly. The guards find her and manhandle her. And, Diem's cut, but her cut is like magically healed. And then, Luther stabs one of the fucking guards for hurting her. Right in front of her. He's just like,
And let's not forget, this isn't the first time that, and this is very important, that he's come to her defense. Because his guards have, like, inappropriately felt her up, and she has, like, put it back onto them. And then they would be like, oh, she was doing this. And she goes, oh, is this the type of people? These are the type of guards that you hire? I thought that Lumnos was supposed to be the type of people who respected women and consent was important. He goes, it is. What the fuck happened? And this is not the first time that he's broken arms for her, told people to not touch her, not be involved with her, bring her directly to him. We love Prince Luther.
We love. But he does yell at her and he says, leave. You caused a lot of fucking problems. You need to leave. So she does. She runs away. And
I like that sound effect.
Right. And she immediately goes and reports to the Guardians. And she's like, yo, I mean, like, I did all of this. I couldn't get the boat, but I was unguarded in the palace running around. And she's kind of like losing the attention of the Guardians. And she's like, wait. I know a secret way into the palace. And they're like, and then this is where she's like, oh shit.
I fucked up. Yeah. She's like, I am instant regret that she said that out loud.
Yeah. She's
and
like,
she even knew. She's like, this isn't going to come back and bite me in the ass.
Yep. Vance is there. He's the leader of the Guardian sect because the woman is away who is in charge. And she's like, I know him from somewhere, but do we? This is, though, again, immediate regret after telling the Guardians about the secret door. But Henry proposes here. You'd be a great mother. She's like, and this is also the second time. So he tried to propose when they were on their little like getaway trip before they got to camp. And she was like, oh no, none of that. But he proposes here. And she's like, she says like she feels dread. She says she needs to think about it. And it is not a happy, joyous feeling for her. There.
Which is fair. They haven't talked about it. He's basically like, I've loved you my whole life. And then you flash forward to like a dinner that he had, like siblings are doing like their sibling rivalry, not even rivalry, just they're kind of like ribbing on each other. And she's like, oh, you have your crush. And he goes, you're one to talk. What about you and Henry? And her dad's like, oh, you should totally be courting. And they're like, they're doing more than courting, Dad. Because also we know at this point that the brother still lives at home because he's not married, because under the society, nobody can leave the household unless they're married. So it's just like one of those arbitrary conversations. So here he is thinking, great, marry Henry. You can be taken care of by somebody else. And she's like, well, Dad, tell me about you and Mom. Like, tell me about your story. He's like, I just knew. I knew my life was better with her than not having her in it at all. And she was like, that's definitely not the feeling I got. Like in her head, she's saying, that's not how it is with Henry at all.
Yep. Which is good because he's on mission. So he's away. He's out of the picture for a little bit. So we don't have to worry about him. So when Diem is out and about in town, she runs into Lily in public and Lily is completely healed. She's like, oh, you must have healed fast. And Lily's like, I guess, sure, okay. You did that, but okay. And this is where we have the come to dinner, yay, come to dinner.
I love Lily because she's also like, my brother, I can see why my brother's kind of fancied with you. And she's like, your brother's fancied? What? What does he say about me? But also, like, don't tell me. But also, what does he say about me? And she's like, I don't know, but like, your brother's like kind of cool too. Maybe the four of us have a double date.
Can we date? The four of us can date.
I want to see more of that.
like how cute. Okay. So Diem goes home and they have like a nice little family meal. Everybody's teasing about everybody. This is where Dad learns about Lily and like all of this stuff. But then there is a huge explosion. Bam, 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 explosion. And this is where Diem is just like riddled with guilt. She's like, oh, fuck.
She knew it. That was another denial, capital D, because they were like, what is that? Knowing what it was, because she was thinking, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. I know that sounds the direction that I kind of told him. And her dad's like, that is my veteran PTSD going through right there. That is explosions. And she's like, I gotta go. He's like, yep, I gotta go. I have to go heal people.
And as she's doing that, she runs into Henry and the Guardians in the forest. And they're like, what are you doing here? And she's like, what the fuck are you doing here? What are we all doing here? And they try to grab her. And she kind of has to like play it like, oh, I was like so confused. No, you're right. Like, all is good. And then she's like, bye. And books it.
I heard and there's so many great quotes in this book, and I look forward to the reread so I can like highlight them all and physically write them down too. Because her dad is, he's military. He has a daughter, and he's given her survival skills and tips her whole life. He goes, if your enemy is bigger than you, and like basically like if they're stronger than you, then you need to be smarter than them. Because your brawn isn't going to win you over. So you're going to have to start thinking. And that's what she does. She just like, she goes slack. Oh, you're right. And I think that's just like those survival tips that are in here for her that Diem shares are just great survivor tips in general.
Just like, yes. So Diem makes it to the explosion site and everyone's like, what the hell? You don't have any tools. What's going on? Luther, she sees Luther and she's like, Luther, vouch for me. Let me help. He reluctantly lets her in and she volunteers to run into a burning building to save people that are trapped. Remember, she is overcome with guilt.
This is her self-sacrifice. I feel like it's written that she goes, if I don't come out of here, that's okay. I caused this.
Yeah. She goes in, she makes it pretty far, but then she like freaks out a bit and she curls up and she's ready to die. Like she accepts it. She accepts that she's going to die. But the voice inside of there is like, fight. Magic comes out and magic cools her down, right? She's able to get up, orient herself. She is able to get to the trapped workers. Perth is there. We're pulling off debris and Luther is able to like see what's happening. He's like, oh my God, they share like a vision and a moment of like connection. Right. And then it's like,
it's bam. So good. It's so good. Everybody read this. If you haven't already, like, please read this. Reread it.
Reread this. And she feels like a moment of like safety and rightness. And then she like passes the fuck out, of course. She wakes up. She seems fine. It's like, and then Luther's like, you really believe that like you aren't okay? Denial with a capital D. All right.
He's so confused because he doesn't get it and now you're having this like 50 Shades moment of the being in and out of consciousness, hearing conversations, and he's all, you're getting his POV, like, oh, I'm an idiot. Why did I let her go? We love Luther. Joss's team Luther as of book one. That is my disclaimer.
They have these moments, Sarai's out, our Gryvern is outside upset and like howling, right? He's like, you're a good healer, Diem. They're having these moments. Like, I respect you. Like, this is another moment of like, he's showing respect to her. Like, you have a gift. Your compassion is a gift. Like, all of this is a gift. Luther kind of drops that he knows about the Guardians, right? He's like, yeah, I kind of know about that. And she's like, all right, fine then. where is my mother? Where is my mother?
Oh, she deflects so hard. She doesn't even answer his question. He's like, you can't deny us. She's like, you can't deny that I know. He's like, no, all he says is, I was wondering how long it was going to take for you to ask me about that.
Yeah, it's like, he's like, what are you looking for, Diem? Like, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, Luther has asked her, Diem, who has passed out. Okay, just to be clear, Diem passes out at the fire. Luther and his cousin tend to her and make sure that she's all right. Diem wakes up later. Luther is there with her. They have this moment. He asks her to check on the king because she's there anyway. And they have this moment, and she goes and she does start to check on the king. And then a guard comes and pulls Luther away, and Luther leaves Diem alone with the king. And everyone, Luther and Diem both know that she is armed, and Luther leaves her with the king anyway. That's important. That's important because what happens, Jess? What happens? What does the king do?
What happens is, like, the king basically has a surge. And if you're familiar with death, the surge is like your last bit of energy that happens before you die. And he, through the surge, it's not a spell. It's more of like
It's a prayer. I wrote prayer.
Yeah. She does like a goodbye prayer, essentially, like a passing on to the next life prayer. And he has this surge of another prayer. And it's very ominous to Diem. And it freaks her out. Things are happening. Guards come in. She's freaking out. So her first response is to take out her weapon. But from the optics point of view, here she is with the king with her weapon out. And then she's being doubted by everyone, including Luther. And she's trying to convince Luther, I didn't even want to be here. I wanted to go with you. Y'all wouldn't let me go with you. You know me. And he's also like, yeah, I do. That's why I'm kind of reluctant right now. And she runs off. She's like, fine, either fucking kill me or let me leave. And it was a very Beauty and the Beast moment, where like the beast just lets Belle run off. That's what it reminded me of.
It did. It
but
did.
It was like so sad. Luther.
It's good shit. All right. So what did the king say? The king said, your blood will shatter our stone, lay waste to borders. And then his crown lights up. I am not afraid of vengeance, he says. And then a female voice overtakes everyone and says, give the gift to him, forgotten daughter. This is my command. Tell him, female voice. And again, Luther comes in and sees the scene, and he's just like, what the shit? What the shit? All right. But just as you said, she runs away. But not before they kiss. They kiss, right? Luther really suspects her. They kiss, tell me you don't feel my magic. Like you saw the vision too. Like our story is just beginning.
Well, and then like it's all her magic is calm and her magic is purring when he's around. And he's like, do not deny. Like, what is there to deny? You can't tell me. And then when she's leaving, he goes, you had the dream too. And she was like, what, what dream? He goes, her reaction was basically, fuck, it wasn't just me.
Yep.
And they're both sad. They both leave sad.
And her reaction to all of this is, well, I'm going to quit healing. I don't want to do that anymore. I mean, like small steps, right?
We gotta have that moment for the FMC. Who's like, I don't want to do it anymore. Life is hard. I'm just, which she does, because then she goes back home. She's like,
your laugh.
That's exactly it. Oh, every time. I don't want your laugh. And she doesn't, because she goes back home. She runs back to Henry and says, Henry, hey, second place, dude.
How about Henry and Diem's argument about this, about the Guardians, and about how she's like, did you poison that child? He's like, did I poison that child?
bad. He's so bad. Because at first she goes, let's run away together. Like, we all remember what we already talked about, what we always talked about as kids. Like, he's like, we're not running. She's like, we're not running away. We're starting a new life. That's, semantics. But he's like, we're not kids anymore. We're adults. And she's like, yeah, we can act on those things that we wanted to talk about. He's like, no, life is different. I got to stay back, and then that's where she starts questioning everything. And then she goes, you really put that kid's life in jeopardy? It was going to be fine. It was going to be fine. We got people distracted and you were going to heal her anyway. It was just a little Everflame, or what was it? Death flower, whatever it was. It's not that big of a deal. And this is where they start going back and forth. She goes, wait, this is not what I signed up for. This is, he goes, so are you really for the cause? You would turn your back? She's like, no, I fucked up, actually. Now I don't want anything to do with y'all. And that's when he starts giving out, in addition to all of this, her father's secret that her father signed up back for the military. And she's like, you're lying. He's retired. He goes, Go ask them right now. And actually, he found out about this weeks ago, and he just accepted last week. And I've already sent in his confirmation that he'll be fighting in the war. Because this is where she has confirmation that there is going to be another war. Mm-hmm. And she already knew. She goes and she gets home and she's like, her dad's like, we need to talk. And she's like, yeah, we do.
Yeah, Henry also does the whole, like, I'm sorry, Diem, violence is the only solution. Yeah. And, you thought that Teller was going to go to another realm and study? He's going to become studied. You're just so dumb that you don't realize that humans that are invited to Sotos, when they don't, when they finish their education, they become the experiments. God, Diem. It's like, yo.
And this is the wall punching scene.
Yeah.
With the cracked wall.
Yeah. And then Diem trying to salvage any of this is like, Henry, let's just forget all of this. Let's just run away from all of this. And he's like, no. How about no, Diem? I have a life here. And you know what? No. But still, you want to marry me? You still want to marry me? Disgusting. Disgusting, man. Disgusting, man.
They always are.
They always are. Yeah. I've got to say, though, this daddy-daughter fight that happens right here, this is the end of the book. This daddy-daughter fight is vicious.
It is good. Woo. It is good. It is a good fight. It is your eldest daughter fighting your military commander father. And But then when she drops the "you're not my father" line, I was like, ooh.
That is so low.
That one is rough. That's some Bella Swan shit.
That is some Bella Swan shit. Also, it is some like sibling shit though to pull your sibling into your problems. He's like, tell her, what the fuck do you mean you're courting the princess?
Oh yeah. Well, she didn't. He put two and two together. He was like, wait, this is where he was like putting two to do. She never said it. She's like, what? You also didn't pick up on it this whole time? And that's where the parents start using the siblings as pawns.
Yep.
So toxicity all over the place.
He's like, go back to your healer work. Go marry Henry. And I like how Diem is like, you know what? Where is my mother?
Because you keep talking about her like she's going to walk in the door. You stop looking. Do you not care? Because
where is she?
Yes. Give us the answers because. And then he's like, that, of course I care about her. Yeah, you do. Because what do you know that you're not telling us? Because you keep acting like it's a when. She's going to walk through that door any second. So you are ready, which I don't blame her for asking this question because now we already have this military acceptance. She goes, when were you going to tell us? Mm-hmm. When were you? Oh, I was going to tell you at dinner. We were going to talk about it. What were we going to talk about? You actually sent in your acceptance already.
Yeah. What discussion?
What discussion are we getting at? And this was the first time that her brother, it's just kind of like little brother things for some of us where he starts questioning everything. What? And he starts questioning everything because his sister is like eldest daughter, big sister, shelters him from so much. And protects him and keeps him like, I got you. Because through this book also, they're having their own sibling relationships on the side. Like, hey, I got your back. You know that? Like, I love you. Whatever you decide to do or continue or pursue in life, I'll be the best one and your biggest cheerleader while you do it. Might not love it, but I got you.
The voice inside Diem is screaming at her to fight, 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 destroy, and she does not want to hurt her family. So when her father does what fathers do and they say, you will obey me or you will get out of this house, Diem says, bet. And she runs. She fucking books it out into the woods. Out into the woods she does, and she's hot, right? She's got all of this pressure. There's all of this heat. She's burning. She doesn't understand what's going on. She hears all this voice, right? And what does she say? She says, I surrender.
And drops to her knees and is crying. And her brother chases after her. And she's like, you are the Queen of Lumnos. End scene.
End scene. The crown appears above Diem's head in the middle of the woods. It's dark. She's crying. It's there. Teller comes in. Holy shit, you've been selected. Because the crown of Lumnos passes to the person that has the strongest magic in the land.
Which was always assumed.
Luther.
Right. Mm-hmm. But because that's where she's like, you're going to get it, right? And he's like, what? That's the assumption. But we don't know. So, end scene. This is where we are with Diem. And we go into the epilogue. And the epilogue is in this POV, this female POV. I think it's obvious that it's her mother. Because who else would it be? Because as we know on ACOFAE, no head, not dead. And it does wind up being her mother. And we're finding out what has been going on. Not necessarily what, but kind of the inner workings of, is it time yet? Can she return? We're kind of the adventure, not the adventures, but kind of like the course that she's been on.
Yeah. We're planning a surprise in a secret place. We've got room. We've got matches. Are you here? Bloodstains, archway stones, sapphires. Sarai is crying. The king is dead. A new one is chosen. There's the Heartstone. And she knew that she would be back in 30 days. Ba, 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 ba. So and Jess, you read that last sentence and you said more.
Yeah. Well, I said more before the epilogue. I started texting like 2 other people and I was like, hey, I haven't finished this book, but I recommend it. Have you read this yet? Well, you should. You should make this your priority. Will they? Probably not, because the struggle of being on our island of 2. But it's great. I think everybody should read it. And literally, before we started recording, and I was like, hey, so what are your thoughts if we just keep the momentum going? And you were like, full stop. I have not been able to put book 3 down. So yes.
Jess, I have a question for you. And my question is, it's easy. It's easy. It is, you're excited. Obviously, yeah. You're excited. You have found some joy here. What sparked this joy? What was the, like, you were reading this and like, what was that point where you were like, I'm in this?
I think, what point was I? I was invested, because I don't want to say it's Luther, because that's not where I got invested. It was after the healing of Lillian, but the more like of her being in denial. And that's where I was like, oh, this is going to be good, because this isn't going to just stop here, because we were in denial with the wolf scene. The wolf scene happened before Lillian. But when you knew that she was in denial about her magic, when she was insisting it was the descendants that were healing themselves and not her, that was the point. Because like Luther was just like, oh, I'm protective of my little sister. What are you doing here? Like, that wasn't it. It was the healing of magic, and it was like that journey. And then I'll be honest though, also, it was also when she was she was like feeling radicalized. And I was like, yeah, like I would be that too, because we're going through a lot of shit and we want to feel like we have some sort of hand that we're capable of change and fixing something. And that was her moment. And I feel like we're all going through if you're listening to the podcast, you're probably going through it too. Like, let's admit that. Where was your hook?
My hook was when it was clear that the mom had a lot of secrets, that she was like, obviously, that she didn't know that this was going to happen, right? Like, she can only be queen if she's descended, right? Like, that's like the thing. So like, she's descended, at least. And I don't know, the way that it was written, I was so focused on the like healer trope of it and like that kind of thing, like going around and like being the healer and like interacting, like being the spy and like kind of doing all that stuff, that when the external magic stuff started to like really kind of play into it, I was like, oh wow, let's add that in. Let's see what else we can do, because I'm already really vibing here. Like, you know, and then we have the Gryver, and I was like, fuck yeah, why not? Let's go. Like, that's gonna be fun. you know, it's just
and the Gryver part, like, we didn't even, because you know, she has that like soft moment with the Gryver, and Luther gets protective, like, what are you doing? You can't call that off. You can't call the Gryvern off if the owner is still alive, and the owner is the king, because he's still on his deathbed, but he's alive. But there was just another natural gravitation. There is a pull. It's going to get so good.
Yeah. And it was, and too, I kind of am assuming that you feel this way too. I was just like surprised. I was surprised that I was that engaged for that long.
Yeah.
Because like there's been a lot of stuff where I've just been like,
like there's and that's not like shitting on the things that we've read. Like, there are books that are fine, and they're like, okay, that's good. On to the next. Like, yeah, to be captivated the way we've been, it's good shit.
Yeah, it's good shit. It's good shit, and it's interesting, and it's fun, and it's like new because the new one is just out, and it's not. I don't know. I'm not getting the ick. You know, I'm getting the ick right along with Diem. I'm with it on page. I'm kind of like in vein with it. I'm having fun, and I'm not taking it too seriously. And when I tell you that I am like in book 3, just kind of like in my headphones, just like, you know, wow, what is going to happen here? Like, all right, like, ooh, that is also fun. Because I obviously I have done this back to back, but I have realized that there does tend to be kind of like a series fatigue if you do like a lot. You're kind of, you know, you're just kind of like, ugh, God, ugh. I don't feel that here. I'm still very excited. I'm still very interested, and really thrilled that so are you, because that is wonderful.
And the audio experience is where it's at for both of us. I mean, we usually always lean towards audio too. I mean, when I tell you, you know me, I hardly wear headphones when I'm walking, especially in the city, head on a swivel, all that things, especially now. But I was in Soho this morning, and I was like, well, what if we do one headphone and I'll still keep swiveling? And then when I got to my location and I was waiting on somebody, I was just like, well, I'm in a safe location now, so I'll just put both headphones in. Meanwhile, she pops out of the car, and I was like, I didn't even notice you because I've been listening to my book. I was like, but like, there's security cameras. They're going to be fine.
They're fine. Everybody's fine. Oh, that's so funny. And my question of if you would recommend this book, you already have. So that's wonderful.
You would recommend it. You did it to me, and here we are.
Yeah,
so this is great.
Here we are. Here we are. So book 2 to come.
Yeah. Talk to you in 5 days about it.
Yeah. Quick turnaround.
That being said, feel free to follow us on Instagram, ACOFAEPodcast. I guess TikTok. Nobody knows anymore right now. ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Please give us well wishes for here in the States. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.